Best Ball season 2024 is alive and well. We're drafting Best Ball Mania teams here at Spike Week tonight. Myself, Erik Beimfohr, and Rob Coakley are going to see if we can find some edges before the NFL schedule comes out and still before ADP has totally fleshed its way out. Here tonight, Spike Week, Best Ball Mania. Let's do it. All right, Rob, you before this show were getting into arguments over Rashad Penny for another
on May
year.
6th?
May 6th, Rashad Penny. I thought that was just epically hilarious that you and I were having those debates all of last year. And now we're still back at the beginning of May talking about Rashad Penny. I was having the good folks of Twitter.com, X.com, whatever we're calling it nowadays, telling me that yet again, zero running back is not right.
No,
how could you ever draft a wide receiver over Ken Walker and Isaiah Pacheco and Jonathan Taylor and all that? The value's too good on the running backs. Rashad Penny is still too good of a football player for us not to draft. This is getting repetitive here every single year, but I am excited. If you've not joined us before, welcome. Hit that like and subscribe on your way in. Also, in the description, there's a link to our Discord, the Spike Week Discord. It is 100% free. We will probably reference it several times, certainly over the course of the next few months. But even on this show, the conversation is second to none, in my opinion. Like, I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about the folks in there. I learn from them every single day. And we've had a lot of good conversations, I think, with Best Ball Mania launching and all of these Best Ball tournaments launching on some things that we're trying to attack here early in drafts. I feel more conviction about this 2024 Best Ball season than I have even felt in recent years. But it's actually very little like player focused, and I still do believe pretty passionately in some player stances and the things that you can do to win with specific players and overweight, all that fun stuff that we will talk about. But especially right now, as the market starts to flesh itself out, I'm pretty excited to be hammering some Best Ball Mania drafts with some of those edges that I think exist. So that's what we're going to do here tonight. In just a minute, we'll hop into a draft. You guys can join us.
Yeah. So conviction is an interesting word. And just to clear this up, since in the chat they're saying that I'm talking about buying all the Rashad Penny. Absolutely not. Never in my life will I buy a Rashad Penny share. It would be an auto draft, and then I would vomit. My bet was, I just bet RotoSurgeon 100 that he will not be active for more than 4 games. And I think I got such a great price on that. As like we talked about, Erik, I don't even think he's not even going to make the team. Right. So
the way you lose this is he's active for someone else.
Right.
That's the way you lose this.
That's the only way I lose this particular bet. So I feel good about it. Conviction's a great word because this is actually something I've struggled with a little bit the last few days. I have strong conviction on the way I want to play Best Ball Mania in particular, but I've been trying to figure out how I want to play the DraftKings tournament. I might alter course a little bit on that particular tournament. And the funny thing is, that's the tournament I plan to fire quite a bit in the next few weeks because of all the incentives to fire that tournament right now. So I've been kind of working my way through that, where we've talked about the hardline fades on players in the first round. I might alter that for DraftKings, but I'm going to stick strong with it on Underdog. And I actually kind of like that. I kind of like that I might have different building blocks for each different tournament on how I want to, it's not going to be crazy. It's not like I'm having my player pool, right? Like where half my players I'm going to draft on this site, half on this other one, and then, half on drafters, 50% man, 50% bear, 50% pig, right? Like man, bear, pig. So we're working through a few different things, but I feel really good about Best Ball Mania. So I'm glad we're drafting a Best Ball Mania team tonight.
Yeah, I feel the most, like I said, and conviction, that's probably be a word I'll use a lot this summer. We stumble upon phrases that we end up repeating over the course of a summer, but your point on the different sites is so true, and I'll extrapolate it to even a little bit further. I think so many people come from, and this is why I think we have an edge around here, specifically being from day one. Spike Week was only focused on best ball, and specifically only focused on best ball tournaments, right?
Yeah.
So where we come at from 4 years of thinking only about this format of fantasy and grinding it really, really hard, right? Maxing all these tournaments, making tons of mistakes along the way, but having some successes along the way. You realize how different, like truly how different best ball is, even to manage season-long leagues, even to manage season-long like big tournaments. Like the main event on FFPC is a tournament, a big, a top-heavy tournament, but it is still so insanely different from the game of best ball, and I think that is a huge edge. But then even extrapolating that over to site by site, how different they are. Again, referencing the Discord, I've been talking a lot about zero running back, and just like, and it's not even like zero running back. It's how the market is pricing these kind of different positions, and the running back thing is just what pops out the most. But on DraftKings, as you just kind of alluded to, it's different. It's wildly different. We're going to see that every single year. Drafters is different, not only in the way that they score, right? The scoring is different. Maybe the advance rates on tournaments are different. There's lots of different things about the rules in the game, but the market is, I called DraftKings earlier today the Wild West. I was like, I think I'm saying right here, I'm talking about Underdog. I'm talking about Ball Mania, but I want that to be completely clear, because the drafts on DraftKings are just so different. And I have been firing more on DraftKings right now leading up to the schedule release. I do want to lean a little bit more heavily on the schedule with Underdog and with only 18 rounds and some of that stuff. But that doesn't mean I don't think that there's edges that we can hammer right now. And I kind of keep waiting for some of these things to dry up. But I feel like on Underdog specifically, people are still pretty tied to ADP. And it takes a long time for these guys to, like, guys that I think are, guys that are going, I'm just going to use random numbers. He's going at 110. I think he should go in the 80s. It's like, it takes weeks. Like, even if the market agrees and we'll in this draft and he'll go at 102 instead of 115. You're like, oh, okay. But you need a lot of drafts over and over and over of him going at 102. And now his ADP is 102. And then you need it to happen again, right? Because people just don't take guys 2 or 3 rounds ahead of ADP. And so I do still think that there's a lot of value in that right now.
And I think that I was really noticing that earlier, where I want to have a discussion in the future on the turn picks, like picks 1, 2, 3, 10, 11, 12, because I think those picks with, casual players, and I think even some advanced players, get anchored to ADP more than other positions on the draft board, because they're just so scared to pass on like guys that are sitting right there, and they're scared to, go get the guy they want to get. Like, you're sitting there with Lamar and say Mark Andrews, isn't the best example, but I still think people are hesitant to pull the trigger if he's 9 picks down the board, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, well, you're not getting them on the way back. So, and I think there's multiple examples of this. I think the Worthy thing is going to be prevalent with the Mahomes stuff, but not even just with stacks, but with structure that you're trying to put together. If you're trying to build a 0 RB and you're like, man, it's too early to draft Christian Watson right now, and I want Christian Watson on this team. I'm trying to go with like a player we're all fighting over a little bit. But if he's who you think you need on that 0 RB build for your 4th or 5th wide receiver, what does it matter? You're up in 20 picks anyway. So do you want Christian Watson on this team, or do you not want Christian Watson on this team, or JMO or whoever?
I think it's something we definitely talk about, but even like everybody talks about this in this whole space of like pulling levers, right? You'll hear that a lot, or just the different things you need to think about when you're on the clock. The lever thing is kind of taken off because it makes sense. But everyone, I think, understands when you get on the clock, there's like 10, 12, 15 different things. But even if we simplify it down to like, you need to think about these 4 or 5 things in terms of which player you select when you're on the clock here. The psychology of the ADP thing is the one that wins out the most when we are humans, we are on the clock. You put a list in front of me and the list says this guy's the best and this guy's 15th best when I'm on the clock, it is a mind fuck that it really, you have to push back against that to be like, no, I'm pulling five. I'm thinking about 5 levers when I'm on the clock here, right? Like you said, the correlation position, I need this position. What's going on later in the draft, right? What I know I can get later in the draft. Of course, ADP does factor into that. Uniqueness, right? There's all these different things. But like, it's hard to conceptualize those other ones as clearly as it is to conceptualize ADP when you are on the clock. So it's just it's human nature to default to that. And I think, but if we can push past it, and absolutely sometimes ADP will win out. It will win out, but it typically wins out because of a couple of other reasons, as opposed to just being like, oh, he's at the top of the ADP list, or he's 15 picks down, I can't take him yet. It's usually something else actually that is leading into there, that's playing into that fact. And so I think it was an important delineation before we get into it. And Colin, I see your question. We see some of these comments. We'll get to that as we kick off a draft.
Sure. Do we want to jump into it right now?
Let's do it.
Let's jump into Best Ball Mania. So if you want to get in with us, this is probably the time to enter, because I'm pressing the enter button right now. And to answer Curaçao's question, we've hit on it a few times, but on BBM, I'm specifically fading CMC and Tyreek Hill at the moment. So those are
fading all the running backs. I know you didn't ask me. Just if it has a green next to their name, I don't like them.
That's definitely fair. All right, so we need just one person, and we'll just answer Colin's question.
Yeah.
Colin said, do you guys have a track record of winning in best ball? Why should people sub to your stuff? Genuine question, not hating. Didn't take it as hating. So not only has Erik made multiple finals, but he finished 8th and 12th in Best Ball Mania in 2 separate years, which I think is just an absolute insane stat. So we can point to that. And I've made multiple finals. So have I won a tournament? I would say I haven't won a tournament, but I would say that I have made quite a few finals over the last 3, 4, 12, 16, 25. How long have we been doing this, Erik?
Too long. Too fucking long. It is crazy that we've been doing these, for 4 years or so now. And just to go on the genuine question, not hating. But I think what you'll find is Rob and I can be assholes, and we like to talk shit, and we like to have fun, and that's just our personalities. But I don't take offense that you would have to do and say something far worse than asking me if I've won to make me feel like you're hating. So don't ever worry about that. Rob and I will disagree a lot over the next few months, and I never take offense to anything that Rob says. But yeah, Rob kind of outlined it. I am proud of. It's hard, man. It's hard to make the finals, period. And then it's hard to really do well once you make it to the finals. And so to have the equivalent of 2 top 10 teams in 3 years in Best Ball Mania, I think is, that's not I did not win those tournaments, but I think that's a track record that's hard to replicate really for anybody. So despite not having won a best ball tournament, I made the finals every single year. I had 2 DK teams in the finals last year. I had a Best Ball Mania team in the final. The year before, I had 4 DraftKings teams that made the finals. And so it's been a pretty good run, and I'm pretty confident that we're doing some of the right things. Not everything, but we're doing some of the right things. You're Chase here, right?
Yeah, you okay with Chase?
Yes, of course. 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row. One for me and one for you, Jamar Chase team. You were complaining last week, and the best ball gods rewarded you.
Well, they have to eventually. I just did 3 DraftKings teams where I got the 11, the 11, and the 12. So at some point, you have the RNG gods have to smile upon us.
Dude, I've been really, really lucky because I feel real passionate about the top wide receivers, obviously. But even setting aside 0 running back stuff or whatever, dude, anywhere from CD down to Justin Jefferson, sign me up, man. I can get a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL in the first round. I want those guys. I like Amon-Ra, fine. I like Puka, fine. I'm not hating. I like Garrett Wilson, fine, whatever. But there's a drop off after Justin Jefferson for me, and I keep getting those top 6, 6 picks. So knock on wood, I'm about to 100% go through the opposite. We're going to flip. You're going to start getting all those top picks, and I'm going to get 11, 5 times in a row or something. But it's been fun. It's been fun. So it's nice to start CD, Chase, or Jefferson, or I know you don't love Tyreek as much, but starting with those guys as opposed to that turn is just so uncomfortable. You're getting it in worse. So much worse. I actually think the turn is so much worse this year not because those guys are like Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown, Marvin Harrison, et cetera, are worse than Jamar Chase and co, but also because the edge at the turn is I'm going to get another second guy right before you get your second guy. And I think that whole tier is so flat that your second guy is not even necessarily better than so I'm going to war with CeeDee Lamb and a wide receiver 2 that's really like the same as yours. And you're going to war with Garrett Wilson. It's like I'm going to keep drafting those guys too. Cause what are you going to do? You get the pick, But I think that the top 6 or so, maybe if you prefer some of these other guys, top 8 or so is actually a pretty nice advantage right now.
Yeah. I mean, we thought the top 5 was last year too. And then the 11 and 12 picks smashed.
CD, yep.
My problem with this year is I see that 12 pick just constantly being like the same combo of like 4 different players right now. That also could change, and it could be a great time to do it. But if it stays status quo, my concern is everyone's going to be starting Garrett Wilson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Marvin Harrison in that mix. It just seems to be the same combo of players in the back end more so than I remember from last year. Last year, I do remember Amon-Ra, CD being very popular, but it felt like you could still mix it up a bit this year.
That also it's one of those things that transitioned into that as the market figured it out.
And week 17 got released.
And we got the schedule. And everything. It's Olave for me here, but again, wide receivers, I'm pretty open. If you have I got to come up. I'm going to start saying conviction, like we say interesting. So I need to come up with a synonym. I was going to say, if you have conviction about one of those,
a strong lean. I agree.
A soft lean is that we're going to get into a soft lean.
We got a soft lean on Kyren. The Kyren Williams talk is killing me because I'm not going to have a lot of Kyren this year. But it's not based on him being Kyren Williams. It's based on the strategy that I want to implement.
It's also not the Blake Corum thing is hilarious.
I'm cracking it. That was what I was going to bring up. It's insanity.
We're knocking Kyren when all Sean McVay has ever done is give his starter like 80% of the work. Kyren got it. Kyren got spelled last year by another back. They just wanted, Kyren has gotten banged up. Sean McVay likes having stability at the running back position.
Yeah.
I don't care about that, right? But he does. When Kyren is healthy, Kyren is going to be Kyren. I could not possibly be less concerned about Blake Corum. Like can Kyren smash again? Absolutely, he can. That doesn't bother me.
It's Devonta
I was going to say, what have you been doing? Because this tier is pretty interesting. I'm down for Devonta Smith for sure.
I'm not a Michael Pittman guy. It's probably a slight leak in my game that I don't like to draft Michael Pittman, but
is it though?
But I'm okay with it. It's like
maybe it is. Maybe.
I don't need to plug that leak. I don't feel like.
Yeah, I got a lot of leaks in my game, but I'm pretty sure early 3rd round Michael Pittman is not the glaring one that's a problem. And he's fine. I won't have 0. There's your soft fade, my soft fade of Michael Pittman, but I'm not taking. I like all these wide receivers. They're some of the best wide receivers in the NFL. I can only get them in the top 3 rounds. I'm not gonna. I don't think that's the big thing that I'm probably gonna say constantly over the course of the next few months is I feel like I've identified where my real edges lie. These 1, 2, 3, 4 things. So I'm not also then going to say, well, yeah, there's this 5th or 6th thing that I like, but you don't need to do 15 things, right? In in any form of gambling or prognostication or whatever, find out where your edge is and then take advantage of that edge. And there's going to be things, or there's going to be other little minor nuances, but Jalen Waddle versus Devonta Smith versus DK Metcalf is like, that's not where my edge lies. I don't know. They're all good. They're all fine, And so I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to take that. We've talked about intentional versus unintentional stands and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
I want to be intentionally not taking a stand on spots like this. And so I'll have a little bit of Michael Pittman. He's just my least favorite wide receiver in this whole range.
In the NFL. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Like it's so boring. It's so boring watching. People used to think that was Keenan Allen and stuff like that. I'm like, this is way worse. This is way worse than Keenan.
Yeah, I get like that with certain players too, where like I just can't stand watching them. One of the guys that I'm like that with, that's a running back, has always been James Conner, where I'm just like, I just can't stand James Conner. And I feel like he's been in the NFL for 20 years and he's only 28 years old. I'm like, that can't be possible. He's been playing since, Bledsoe was suiting up as the Patriots starting quarterback, it feels like.
Yeah, well, he runs like he's 45, but he's 28, and the motherfucker still keeps scoring fantasy points. And so my brain cannot. You talk about the psychology of these things. Like my brain cannot figure out how James Conner keeps scoring fantasy points.
I know
every single year because it doesn't make any sense.
At
least they took a running back. At least now we have a reason to not be bullish on James Conner that is logical because they drafted Trey Benson,
which has been harder and harder to get lately.
He's steaming. Here's another thing. I like Trey Benson fine, but we'll get to that range. That is foreshadowing. That is where I think our edge lies. The running backs from like pick 80 to pick, to pick 150 or something like that. Somewhere in that range is where those guys lie. And the guys that I love the most are not necessarily the ones steaming up. I mean, Zamir steamed up quite a bit, but there's just like, we can just have Bengals running backs in every, like, when did we forget that like Bengals running backs are just a gold mine? You know what I mean? And like, you can just have them whenever you want. Either pick if you like Moss or Chase Brown, doesn't matter. So the fact that Benson's kind of steamed up has really just led me to more Bengals.
We got to grab Derrick Henry if he's still on the board here, right? Please, at the 409.
Please no.
This is reverse. Don't ruin it. There's a badge in front of us.
OMG. What a sweet username, by the way. Amari. Okay.
Amari.
I mean, I like Pickens and Keenan both. I like Lamar. We don't have a Texan, so no need for Stroud.
It's Lamar, isn't it? Like it's
fine with me. Mm-hmm.
I would like a tight end here, but they've already mostly gotten eaten up. So I think it's Lamar.
Fine with me. I love Lamar.
Lamar, I think, as much as I love drafting Mahomes, Lamar is just, he's everything I want. He's the elite quarterback with 40-point upside with stackable options late. I mean, I want Zay Flowers, I want Mark Andrews, but there's so many more options for him in the later rounds that I think I'm going to be heavily overweight Lamar. I'm a little scared about how much I'm going to have of him, but it is what it is, man.
Worked out well for me last year. He was my second highest owned quarterback to RIP Sam Howell. Although there's Sam Howell hype coming out already, where we might have part 2. I got made fun of because I put Sam Howell at the back of the ranks. I do that with some quarterback stuff where it's like you put it in there, like if somebody's using this and you get locked out and you're like, I don't have anybody, like Howell can be an option. That I'm gonna be interested to follow that one over the, just like all the Russ Fields, Bo Nix, Jarrett Stidham, Drake May, Jacoby Brissett. I think that they're gonna let Howell battle it out.
Undertaker.gif for him. Do we want to go Kyle Pitts here?
I'm down for Pitts, yeah. Of course, I do like this wide receiver range, but Pitts is a kind of Pitts Kittle is kind of I also like Ingram and those other tight ends, but little kind of a mini tier break there, right? Like Pitts on down.
I like these wide receivers too. I've been grabbing a good clip of Reed, McLaurin, Xavier Worthy. I think I'm going to fade Hollywood. I don't at that spot.
Well, and then how do you draft Hollywood when Rashi goes after him?
Right.
It's like at least we could have the conversation between him and Worthy, whatever. I get it. I prefer the rookie, etc. But we could have the convo about, are we overconfident in the rookie when there's Hollywood's just like maybe better than him right now, but like Hollywood's not better than Rashee Rice. Like he's just not, and he's falling because some random slappy went out and said he's going to get suspended for half the season based on literally nothing, like legitimately nothing. And we're playing a game where I just need to advance. Like, do I care if he misses 4 games? Like, do I really care? I mean, I care a little, but like, we're going to have Rashee Rice in like the 7th round soon. When wide receivers are all priced up, it doesn't make any goddamn sense to me.
Yeah. Nice comment from Tyler saying that Hollywood is more like Bollywood because it's all song and dance. Where are the points?
Yeah, I know. My teams with him for the last couple of years can attest to that.
Yeah. We're always like, I just feel like we always think that he's this player that he's just not. Is just the way it goes with him.
Yeah. He can't be the go-to guy, and we've been drafting him as if he was the go-to guy for the Cardinals for a couple of years. And he's more of, but he at the right prices, he can fit in best ball 100% because he can have good games, especially on the Chiefs now. It's just, boy, is it priced. I mean, he's going like right after Keenan Allen and Terry McLaurin and ahead of Rashee. I know he didn't in this draft because we shit on him, so everybody's scared to be the guy that drafts out. There you go.
The rent is too high, is what we'd like to say.
Yes. There was somebody else that there were some good comments in here while we're waiting. Oh, Lion says, if he remembers correctly, many of the BBM finalists had Spike Week. Yeah, there's probably some metrics you guys could put together. It's on the leaderboard, I think, which I haven't. Honestly, I should. You're right. Go put together that. But like, if you go, we had our own custom leaderboards for Ball Mania and for the Drafters tournament, and it would, if you are a subscriber, it would show you as a Spike Week member on the leaderboard, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty darn cool to see just how many people across all these tournaments were crushing it coming from here. So I think, we talked about the successes that we've had, and we're proud of those and everything. But the thing I'm easily the most proud of is like, you can come listen to us, you can come buy our tools and take our advice and all that kind of stuff. But I think what we do well and what the people that come here do well is take some of the things that we think through and talk through and then like apply them, not necessarily directly in exact right. Like, you don't have to go draft Rashee Rice right now, but it gives you ideas on how to become a better player.
Absolutely. And if you want to see all our success, look at my 80-cent balance in the top right corner of the screen.
Exactly.
That's how good we are.
Hey, mine, I got a balance in there. We got NBA playoff payouts here. What are you doing in this range? Obviously, we took a quarterback already, so I don't want to do Burrow. This is disgusting.
I mean, Godwin.
I take a lot of Godwin. Yeah, I take a lot of Godwin, but I mean, I just want to default to the wide receiver.
Do you want to go Coleman?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I only want to go Coleman because I've already felt my brain just in this range going to Godwin, and it's going to happen probably too much. I'm going to get too comfortable with that pick if it stays status quo. So let's bring Coleman up, especially because I think Coleman has a chance of rising around round and a half more so than Godwin does.
Well, right? Yeah, if he keeps doing these awesome interviews.
Yeah, who doesn't want him on their team?
Yeah, seriously. I'm moving him up the ranks, even he's not my kind of guy, right? Not my kind of prospect, but I'm also willing to. This is a thing that we'll probably talk about over the summer. Like, I don't like Keon Coleman at this price. I don't like Keon Coleman as a prospect. He's not the kind of guy I want to bet on long-term in the NFL. But over the course of hundreds of drafts, there will be times where you throw that aside and you say, look, on XYZ teams, he makes sense here. So it's a lot more wide receiver based.
All right, we're going to be coming back on the clock here. And the question is, do we want to start hitting our RBs? Because this range is usually where I'm okay with it. Or do you want to have some balls, Eric? And do you want to push it a little bit? And we can still get Chris Godwin here.
Yeah, I would take Godwin here. Yeah,
let's do it. Let's.
If somebody says they prefer Ladd, right? I would be fine if somebody says they prefer Ladd. But I really like Godwin. I understand. Last year was a down season, but I think it's going a little bit overlooked. And I'm sure there's some awkwardness, like people feel uncomfortable because they drafted Jalen McMillan, who is a slot receiver, but they came out and they've said and not backtracked on this, despite drafting Jalen McMillan, that they're moving Chris Godwin back to the slot.
Yeah.
And I think that it's gone a little bit overlooked so far this year. And maybe people just don't like Godwin like I do, and that's totally fine. But the difference between his productivity running out of the slot and playing out wide is massive. Like, he's one of the better slot receivers in the entire NFL, and he's kind of a mediocre outside wide receiver. And so that move, even if it's just a little bit more, right? Maybe he still plays outside, McMillan mixes in or whatever, but just being in the slot more is so much better for his skill set. That and given the wider, right? It's like, given how expensive all these wide receivers are, and I get some bullish signal on what his role will be this coming year, getting that kind of player, like real life player in the 70s at wide receiver, it just doesn't. I mean, we're talking about Lad McConkey, JSN. Like, what has JSN done to be priced like I understand even if you're not bullish on Chris Godwin, it's like, yeah, so who are you bullish? What wide receiver are you bullish on here? Christian Watson has one hamstring. Jackson Smith-Njigba had one of the most pathetic rookie years ever. J-Mo, we're still waiting on him to ever do something. It's like, it's a good price.
Yeah. And relating to some of the chat, we are not going to do the Lamar Jackson can't throw in the year 2024.
Yeah, I'm sorry, AJ. I can't.
We can't do that.
He's won multiple MVPs, man. Let's let that one ride. Let Skip Bayless keep that one.
You want to talk about Anthony Richardson can't throw? We can have that discussion.
Right. Exactly.
So Nathan Peterman, maybe, because he's probably still in the NFL for some reason. Like, God, I wish I was a backup quarterback in the NFL. Best job in the world.
Seriously, Chase Daniel is like my idol. Guy played like he'd play week 17 or 18 every year, and like he sprinkled in a few snaps over a 15-year career and made millions. What a life.
Must be amazing. Just go. No one recognizes you, but you're
you're a millionaire. Money. Yeah, you're a millionaire. Your body's not broken down. Like, God damn, man, what a life.
So we're coming back on the clock here. It is round 8.
This is why you can push running back, man. Look at these running backs.
This is the spot.
Mostert scored 20 fucking touchdowns last year, and you can get him as your RB1 with Lamar, with Pitts, with all these guys. I'm not saying we have to draft him, but like,
do you have a lean? Do you want Mostert? Do you want
Mostert is my favorite guy right here.
I'll grab Mostert because I've been overlooking him. So I will.
But like, you can't go wrong here. I don't like Connor that much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I won't draft Connor. I would have.
And but like, if you like Tony Pollard, that's fine. Jonathan Brooks is fine. Jalen Warren, I love. Trey Benson, I don't really love Nick Chubb. But like, even keep continuing, if we scroll down here at the running back list, I could name 10 more guys in this ADP range that I think are good picks.
Yeah, I wish I could love Nick Chubb because he is genuinely a football player I like watching.
Yeah, he's great.
I just think it's over, man. I just think it's all done, unfortunately.
Turns 28 or 29 this year. A lot of wear and tear.
Just really hoping that Benson was going to come back to us, but he did not. Are you looking at like Javonte Williams here? Do you prefer Brooks?
This is when I do a lot of mixing and matching. I think I would take Brooks. I would lean to Brooks here, but also, even if you wanted any of these other guys, I think that they're totally fine.
No, I mean, I'm kind of the same way. I don't have enough Brooks in these contests yet, so let's go ahead. This gives me quite a unique build because I don't think I've drafted Mostert or Brooks post, the draft. So
yeah,
I'm fine with taking those two guys. But to your point, I love smashing 2 RBs starting in the 8th round on, especially with 5 wide receivers. I don't always have 5 right here. Sometimes I'm double dipping on tight end.
Yeah,
occasionally. So sometimes I'm at 4. But with 5 wide receivers, I have an idea of something I want to do later in the draft. I think this team is setting up pretty well.
This is a great comment from Dorito, 32-year-old Mostert. Hell yeah. And it is true. He's very old. But like, comparing him to James Conner, as like, if we're only using age, now let's cite the touches. Let's go cite the mileage, right? James Conner is a 45-year-old, 28-year-old. Raheem Mostert is a 25-year-old, 32-year-old, right? Like, I know that that's a weird way to put it, but like from a mileage perspective, this was the first season last year, basically, where Raheem Mostert got heavy volume in his career. And so you can't like we can do the age thing, but we also should probably apply a little bit more nuance to it.
Oh, see, I'm reverse nuance on James Conner. There's like 4 players that I will just tell you that I just do not like them. I will not apply logic to it. I will not apply. It's James Conner. It's Curtis Samuel this year out of nowhere, off the top rope. Can't draft Curtis Samuel. Michael Pittman's another guy, and I'll think of another, but those are like my 3 that it's just like, why don't you like it? Because I don't know. I don't like it. I'm not gonna fight with you about it. I'm just not gonna
Trey
draft James
Benson.
Conner.
Previous years were if you said we were idiots for not drafting James Conner, I think you have a case.
Sure.
But they just drafted Trey Benson. It's a big deal. Like it's a huge deal, right? If we're knocking Kyron for Blake Corum, we're not going to knock James Conner for Trey Benson. Like we absolutely have to be doing that. Adam says less touches because he spent Mostert has not been injured his whole career. Certainly he's gotten banged up here or there. He had the one missed season with the 49ers. He has less touches because he was a special teamer. He didn't play offense for the first 5 years of his career in San Francisco. He was just a special teams player. And then we found out he's one of the fastest human beings alive on a football field. And he could do some stuff in the Shanahan and McDaniel offense.
And we also have to remember, we didn't take him till the 8th round. I know he's our first running back.
That's it.
But it's not like he's
I'm not saying draft him in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
He's going around pick 100. That's the point. Is like the age gets factored in when you just scored 20 touchdowns and you're back on the Dolphins with a contract extension.
It's Chase Brown, right? I mean, it's pretty simple here.
Bengals running back in every draft if you can do it.
Yeah.
Their prices don't make any sense to me. People just don't know who it is. So they're like, I'll make them both cheap. It's like, no, they should both be why are Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears more expensive from a combination perspective than the Bengals guys? Mm-hmm. That doesn't make any sense. The Titans split backfield is more expensive than the Bengals split backfield. It's crazy.
I've wanted to talk myself into Austin Eckler, and I might have brought this up before, and I just can't do it.
No.
I've been trying to make a case for him, but everything that I would use to make a case is not in his favor. Other than the high ankle sprain last year being what caused him to,
if you say it was that. Mm-hmm.
But I'd like to, but I just can't find a reason to draft Austin Eckler.
Nope. Well, the other thing is Brian Robinson is the better pick in his own backfield, and their prices are the same.
Yeah. So we are coming back on the clock here. We have a 1-3-5-1 build. We really hammered wide receiver. I wanted to draft Tyjae Spears there, but I'm also okay with Zeke in this spot for multiple reasons.
Let's just click it and not talk about it. That's what I do every time I draft Zeke. I just pretend it didn't happen and move on to the next.
You want me to put a little square over it so that we don't have to look at it?
We're gonna need to take this video down afterwards and put, blur out
Zeke.
Redacted. But I think he's a fine pick.
I think he's fine in this range. I also am grabbing him now because he's another guy that I think is going to get oversteamed, and I think he's going to end up around 8, round 9, maybe, because people are pushing him up as it is. And I think then I'll just be like, I'll grab these other guys around him. I'll already have some Zeke shares. Is my thought process.
No pushback from me. It's just one of those, it doesn't have to be so hard. It's the Cowboys. He's probably going to get high value touches. He sucks. So I get it. If your idea, if your whole running back drafting plan is only to draft the guys that you think are good, he's not going to fit the bill. But then you're just not going to draft Cowboys running backs because you know who else isn't good? Rico Dowdle is also not good at football. And so if you say, I'm willing to ignore and that's fine too. I got no problem with that. You say these guys suck. It doesn't matter. I'm the most bullish. I've talked about this on past shows that we had on the Cowboys passing game. Right, load me up, Dak and CD and and Jake Ferguson specifically, those guys. To a lesser extent, I think Brandon Cooks is fine. And then the whole if you need a last round wide receiver, and there's the Cowboys guys there, I think that's fine. But if you say, like, everybody talks about running back is volume, right? Running back is a volume game. The skill doesn't matter as much. But then when they think the guy's dust, then it becomes a talent argument. It's like, well, it can't really be both ways.
Yeah, Kyron. Like just the Kyron arguments I've heard this year are just absolutely insane.
He's not good enough. He's not good enough, right? Which he is, by the way, but he's not good enough. But oh, by the way, then I know that, you know, the Dallas thing is different. We got to handle that one different. It's like,
yeah. But I do wonder how many when it's all said and done and Zeke finally retires, how many highlights of Zeke in number 15 are going to make his highlight reel to close out his career on the Cowboys. Because, you know, they're not, even though he had some good plays on the Patriots, that's not making the cut. Since he's back with Dallas now, you're never going to see the Patriots uniform on the highlight reel. But I don't know if you're going to see the 15 Cowboys either.
The Zeke highlights are going to be 3-yard checkdowns and a 1-yard plunge into the end zone, buddy.
And we're going to like it.
Yeah.
Do you have any interest in Musgrave here?
Not so much. I don't think it's terrible, but I mean, I don't think Corum is bad. I don't think Jalen Wright is bad. I know we have Mostert, but I'm
let's totally have fun.
In. Yeah,
let's grab Jalen Wright.
I just did this. I literally did a draft before the show, and I took Mostert and Jalen Wright. I think it's fine.
Let's do something different that just got happened. That just
yeah. Let's do something. Let's do something different. I just did this 5 minutes ago.
No, I like it. I mean, I like Achane as much as the next guy, but getting these two guys feels fun.
It's totally fine.
I think they play the Texans twice and the fantasy.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Weeks 15 and 17.
It's just what we tell ourselves until next week when the schedule comes out.
Right. Yeah.
I think I heard that, but no confirmation on that yet.
Yeah. We shall find out soon.
So we are at a 1-5-5-1 build.
I'll hit this after.
Which is frisky. And we're coming back on the class. Motherfucker. Versaire. Come on, bro.
Versaire. You know, yeah, Versaire's one of the sharps. Can I float? Any of these running backs, though? Ty Chandler, I think, is a legitimately really good pick.
You like Ty Chandler?
It's a handcuff, but also Aaron Jones. It's not like Aaron Jones is going to get all the work.
You want to go Ray Davis and build out this Buffalo thing?
Yeah. Because we already have. I'm fine with that.
Let's do that. Another guy that I think is going to come up the drafts a little bit, and I would rather get him here, even though I'll probably still grab him. But let's get him while he's round 13. Really wanted Roman Wilson there. Can we ban Versaire from our drafts going forward?
Seriously.
Round 13, Roman Wilson, but that's where I was going.
I know. He's a good pick. I like him. Okay, take this. I'll be right back.
Sure. So let's go over our team while we wait on our next picks. We have a 1-6-5-1 build right now with Lamar, Raheem Mostert, Jonathan Brooks, Chase Brown, Zeke, Jalen Wright, Ray Davis, wide receivers, Jamar Chase, Chris Olave, Devonta Smith, Keon Coleman, Chris Godwin, and at tight end, drum roll, Kyle Pitts. Shocking, I know. It's this is a very spike week team, and I'm here for it. I'm glad it's on my account this week. We got the Jamar Chase team last week. I'm into this particular team for sure, with my favorite rounds coming up. My favorite that I'm absolutely miserable every time we have to draft in this range. However, I do think this is the range you can have the most fun. And from this point on in the draft, I don't care about ADP to begin with, but ADP really doesn't matter to me from this point on. Like, throw it out the window. We'll draft the top guy on the board though, after I say that.
Well, yeah. We just went through and talked about you have to push back on the human psychology, and then somebody that we like is going to be at the top, and we're going to be like, oh, look at this ADP value. Look at this value that we got on this guy.
There is something I want to try to do. I'm not sure if we can do it. I'm going to float it to you in a few minutes. I think we can push it a bit. So,
I agree with this, by the way. Alex says Rashi is the best pick on the board right now. Yeah. I am fully on board with that.
The problem is I'm not letting him drop enough, probably.
I know. you gotta be like, he's a really good value here, but can I get him at 70? Can I get him? Yeah. And it's like, I want him at this price, but should I push it? That's always the fun of all that. As we do start to come back, I just want to hit. We talked a little bit about this. Ben is not super into the Chiefs pass catchers. They didn't play, super fast and blah, blah, blah. And there is a target squeeze. I just think I'm not really all that excited about any of them individually other than Rashi, because the price is really, really falling and he's the clear wide receiver one to me. I also think that those additions of Hollywood and Worthy are really, really good for Rashi Rice. I take a lot of Algier. He fits as you mentioned, building out the Buffalo, kind of that Buffalo thing.
Yeah.
I just took.
I won't be grabbing too much of him, so let's do it on this team.
I also just took my first Kate Otten share, so we're just like replicating a team that I just fucking drafted, literally. But I took it was an Evans. It did not have Godwin. It was Evans, and then I had Baker as my second quarterback, and I took Kate Otten as my second tight end. I don't really like Kate Otten very much, but I think beggars can't really be choosers on these late round tight ends, so you draft the ones that fit the team.
Well, I think it would have been fine if we took him there. We could have also went Baker, right? Like, although Jag just took Baker, so RIP to that idea.
Yeah.
There's two guys that I do want to float that I actually do like a little bit better than Kate Otten specifically for this team in a second. But we got Versier. Versier bid on Kate Otten with the Q. Didn't want Kate Otten.
Right,
wow, Janu. I'm thinking Isaiah Likely.
I'm totally. That was going to be someone that I floated, so I'm very in on Likely.
Okay, let's take Likely, but I am also pretty into Juwan Johnson back here as a late round tight end. Kind of a guy I'm looking at when I'm not doing the double elite tight end. I keep an eye on where Juwan's going because he's just as good as anyone down here, and I would like to say better, honestly. So,
yep, Hunter Henry's risen up they went similar ranges, but it may be a round ahead. Sinnott has obviously risen up a lot, and I like those guys.
Yeah,
but I don't really see Juwan getting. It's just like it feels unsexy. The Saints overall feel very oatmeal.
Yeah,
it does not feel like you're getting a 5-star meal if you're drafting Saints. But I think that they're useful. I like Kendre a lot. Not so much Kamara, but I think Olave's good. Shaheed looks good to me at his price. If you get to that wide receiver range, you need wide receivers. And same thing for Juwan with the late tight end.
They feel like the ultimate one-off team, don't they? Like,
yeah.
If I get a Saint, I just want one Saint.
Yeah, so please. I'm not interested in doing the Derek Carr stacks thing again. I did that too much last year. Add it to my list of L's. Although he led the NFL in 300-yard games. Big Country from the Discord showed me that. So maybe on DraftKings.
DraftKings, baby.
Yeah, just he gets to 18 points because he has 300 passing yards. He still can't have a big game with 300 yards. But I think the Saints are totally fine. They're like all those guys are totally fine.
Yeah. All right, we're coming back up on the clock again shortly. And we're at a 1752 build at the moment. Some stuff that I do like on board here. Want to know why my screen just kicked like that? That was fun. I did like Luke McCaffrey. I was going to float him. Moxie's an asshole and took Justin Fields. I wanted to do that. Is there anyone standing out here for you?
May is often there is Derek Carr, so that's really funny. May is often kind of a backstop potential.
I think it makes sense because there's some stuff we can still do, especially only having the 5.
Where are
wide
the
ones.
are the Polk and Javon Baker gone? I think Javon Baker's gone, so it'll have to be Kendrick Bourne or something like that. Which we also don't have. You also don't have to force it, but we do need
Right.
what we do. We do need a wide receiver or two. So
Yeah, we're looking at like Bourne
that fucking purple hurts my eyes. How do you use that?
because it correlates with my quarterback. Quarterbacks are purple.
Jesus. Yeah, but I can't read it. Can you read that?
I
Can you
can.
read those names?
Do you know how great my vision is? Some say the best.
Mine's terrible.
Some say it's the greatest to ever exist. So
Okay, Donald.
I don't think we have to go Patriots wide receiver right now.
You do not. You do not have to.
So
The bet on this team is on the structure and Lamar to likely. It's fine.
yeah. Is there any wide receiver we do want to grab right now?
Let's take a look. See, can you go to the wide receivers?
Yeah. It's
not Odell. We're doing the Odell thing again. Oof. This is why we take early wide receivers. I'm pretty open to whoever.
What about Tolbert?
Yeah, Tolbert's fine.
Tolbert feels like there's some juice there.
Yep.
I didn't get that. Could you?
Siri doesn't like the Tolbert selection.
Not a fan of Tolbert, huh?
Yeah, she didn't get that. Like, is that actually a wide receiver that you want to draft? Is what Siri was saying. But I'm probably going to be overweight Tolbert and Flournoy both. For Christ's sake. But I think Tolbert is the favorite to certainly start the year as the wide receiver 3. He's almost probably certainly starting the year at wide receiver 3. And so I think that there's just some value in that, given how bad late round, we talk a lot about like not wanting to draft some of these dusty guys. It's like, yeah, but sometimes you have to draft late round wide receivers. And if I'm deciding between Odell Beckham, the corpse of Odell Beckham, and, at least a young guy on the Cowboys, like, it's not ideal to be drafting any of them, but sometimes you have to, right? And so I think drafting the Cowboys guys back here is totally fine.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I mean, we looked at some of the guys that were on that list. We had, speaking of corpses, Tyler Boyd is there. Did he even sign yet?
No, I don't think so.
And people are, I don't know.
Elijah
Moore dead.
He just visited. Elijah Moore couldn't do it last year, and then they brought Judy in, and they don't have their savior Flacco. So, like, the 5th option for Deshaun Watson doesn't exactly sound very appealing to me.
No, not at all. But Tyler Boyd gets drafted in every draft. Greg Dortch is toasted this year. I mean, there's no way.
Greg Dortch is not toasted. I mean, I don't particularly like him on Underdog because he's a shallow A-dot slot receiver, but he should be their slot receiver. He should be their slot receiver. But it's like, again,
targets,
fourth or fifth option behind Marv and McBride. And
yeah, I mean, and in fairness, it is the 18th round that we're talking
I mean, this is why we don't. People are constantly like, why don't you draft the running backs earlier? They're the better pick in the 4th round. It's like, would you like your team to be loaded with Greg Dortch and Jalen Tolbert and Odell Beckham and Tyler Boyd? No, I don't want those guys.
Well, I was
Tez is probably gone, right?
Yeah, I was hoping that maybe
that's fine.
We would sneak Tez.
What about McMillan, A.T. Perry? We could do. Was that Bourne?
Yeah, Bourne or KJ Osborne.
I prefer Bourne to Osborne if we want a Patriot. He was good last year, like relatively speaking. I know he blew out his knee, and then they drafted 2 guys. But if I have to make a bet on one of the returning Patriots wide receivers being valuable, I would bet on Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be Demario Douglas for me. I think he's done.
We cannot do this Pop Douglas thing. He got in there because they had nobody else, and he's fine, like as an NFL player. But
we got our first. This team is awful, so that's good. That means it's a great team. I like this game.
Aren't you worried about the running backs? Of course, it's awful. We don't have any good running backs.
Yeah. So we have Lamar, Drake May, Raheem Mostert, Jonathan Brooks, Chase Brown, Ezekiel Elliott, Jalen Wright, Ray Davis, Tyler Algier, Jamar Chase, Chris Olave, Devonta Smith, Keon Coleman, Chris Godwin, Jalen Tolbert, Kendrick Bourne, Kyle Pitts, and Isaiah Likely. This is my kind of team, to be
I like
honest.
I like this team. It's a great. So like the running back room, I think, is really good. This Shuby kind of says it like this is why a big reason why like I think change out the names if you don't like Jonathan Brooks, you like Trey Benson, or you like James Conner, or you like whatever. Yeah. Like everybody has their guys starting in round 8 down through round 12, 13, 14 at running back that they like, and you can get them in every single draft. Like I said, you want a Bengals running back, you want a Steelers running back, you want a Dolphins running back, you want like all those things sound good. You want a Titans running back, you want a Cardinals running back. You can get them on these teams and just kind of mix and match those. And then even these contingent value guys are cheaper, right? Algier, the clear handcuff to Bijan. I know he's probably not going to be anything while Bijan is healthy, but guess what? Welcome to best ball. We're going to draft guys that, we contingent value is an important thing.
Yeah.
Jalen Wright, contingent value. I don't think we ended up taking Ty Chandler, right? But I'm on Ty Chandler's like, so the block, we saw Ty Chandler is going to be a good fantasy asset if he gets on the field. He did it last year. Tyler Algier, same way. The roadblock is Aaron Jones. That's the only roadblock for him being useful. That sounds like a good bet at pick 160 or whatever. And so you can just, everybody can have their flavor, and you can put together these rooms that can both have early season production, right? That's people's often concern about zero running back type builds is the early season stuff. But like, Raheem Mostert scored 21 touchdowns, man. Like 21 touchdowns last year. And you can have him on these teams, and you can have your contingent value upside to kind of backload some production, which is what we're really hoping for.
And he's not Jamal Williams.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you know that's going to come up at some point when you bring that stat up. I'm not saying he's going to score 21 again, because I would be heavily surprised if he scores that again, but he's also not Jamal Williams going from Detroit to New Orleans to deal. Like it's a whole different ball game. And I think Raheem Mostert is still, I think McDonald or Matt, what's his name? Jesus Christ. Mike
McDaniel.
EIEIO is still into Raheem Mostert, even though we're drafting multiple, drafts Jalen Wright, has Devon Achane. I think that there's still a role for Mostert there that
he's not going to not ever play. Right. Is he going to score? No. Do I also expect Achane to take on more of a role? Jalen Wright mixes in a little bit. Yes, of course. That's why he goes at pick 100. I'm not touting him to go in the third round. Yeah. I'm touting him to go at pick 100, because what if it is absolutely within the range of outcomes? He is just the lead back for the Dolphins again. And Achane is the guy who is a change of pace, and Jalen Wright's just the third stringer. Like, why is that not within the range? Of course it is. It absolutely is. And at pick 100, I don't need that. I don't need him to be the lead, the 20 touchdown player on the Dolphins. I just need him to be useful, right? And maybe pop at the right time for a 3 touchdown game. Like it's crazy, because I think price and like structure and all that is really the thing around all of those running backs. But it's hard for people to realize, like, you can be bearish on Raheem Mostert and still like drafting him on your best ball teams at this price. And that it seems contradictory, but it's absolutely true.
Yeah. Al's asking if we're going to have any eliminator content in the future after the schedule drops. Absolutely. Yep. It's my favorite contest on the planet. So we'll be doing drafts. We'll be releasing content. I can't wait. We've already talked a little bit about that in our, I don't want to call them Discord calls. What are we calling those?
The lab. Tomorrow. Yes. Perfect segue.
So we've talked about those a little bit in the lab. So, which you can join for free. Erik drops a link. It's Erik, sometimes myself, all the people that are in chat, in Discord, some of the smartest minds that are in the best ball space, coming together as a collective, as one unit, talking about strategy, pumping everybody up. It's not just an agree fest either. We are actually bouncing ideas, why we want to do stuff, why we don't want to do that. And I think it's one of those situations where iron sharpens iron. It makes you better. Even if you're not going to implement things that you here and there, it is going to lead you towards establishing other people doing it and why you should or shouldn't do it, how you should counter it in other drafts. Very much akin to poker when you're learning different strategies of poker.
Totally agree. It's I think it's kind of the perfect example of a lot of the things that we try to do here is best ball players building things that we specifically want to help make us better players. Like, I'm not trying to sell anybody some, I'm not solving world hunger. I don't think I have all the answers and all that kind of stuff, but we're putting together things that you can come in and you can learn and you can get better. And because that's what I'm doing. The lab, I'm learning. But straight up learning from all these other people, and we're bouncing ideas off of each other. That is on Tuesdays, every Tuesday, as Rob said, totally free in the Discord. You'll see a link at 6 p.m. Eastern, and we'll be in there talking best ball for an hour. So a little bit more casual, right? Not a live stream chat conversation, more of like we're hanging out at the bar, right? Like kind of a happy hour and shoot the shit about best ball every Tuesday at 6. Of course, we'll have this show every Monday at 7, and I will be back solo on Wednesday for the next Drafter stream. They launched, shout out to Drafters, their mini best ball championship, and it is a $2 entry fee, which is just awesome. $100,000 prize pool on a $2 entry fee, so which is great for, right, you talk about iron sharpening iron, but like us sharpening our skills.
Yep.
You got to get your reps in, and it's nice to have, low stakes tournament to be able to get those reps in. And if you're working with a smaller bankroll, you can still win some big time money for a $2 entry fee, and the absolute most you could spend in that tournament is $300, right?
Crazy.
It's pretty awesome. So that's going to do it for our show here tonight. Come join the Discord. See you guys in the lab tomorrow, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday for the next Drafter stream. Have a good Monday night. Go Knicks.
Knicks suck. Knicks
Go
suck.
Knicks. Go Knicks.
Knicks suck.
Go Knicks.
Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.